Book 34, Sales and Trade. Narrated Abu Hurairah. You people say that Abu Hurairah tells many narrations from Allah's Apostle, and you also wonder why the emigrants and Ansar do not narrate from Allah's Apostle as Abu Hurairah does. My emigrant brothers were busy in the market while I used to stick to Allah's Apostle content with what fills my stomach, so I used to be present when they were absent, and I used to remember when they used to forget, and my Ansari brothers used to be busy with their properties, and I was one of the poor men of Safa. I used to remember the narrations when they used to forget. No doubt, Allah's Apostle once said, "Whoever spreads his garment till I have finished my present speech and then gathers it to himself, will remember whatever I will say." So, I spread my colored garment which I was wearing till Allah's Apostle had finished his saying, and then I gathered it to my chest. So, I did not forget any of that narrations. Narrated Ibrahim bin Sa'd from his father from his grandfather, Abdurrahman bin Auf said, when he came to Medina as emigrants, Allah's Apostle established a bond of brotherhood between me and Sa'd bin Arabi. Sa'd bin Arabi said, to me, I am the richest among the Ansar, so I will give you half of my wealth, and you may look at my 2 wives, and whichever of the 2 you may choose I will divorce her, and when she has completed the prescribed period, before marriage, you may marry her. Abdurrahman replied, I am not in need of all that. Is there any marketplace where trade is practiced? He replied, the market of Kainuka. Abdurrahman went to that market the following day and brought some dried buttermilk, yogurt, and butter, and then he continued going there regularly. Few days later, Abdurrahman came having traces of yellow scent on his body. Allah's Apostle asked him whether he had got married. He replied in the affirmative. The Prophet said, whom have you married? He replied, a woman from the Ansar. Then the Prophet asked, how much did you pay her? He replied, I gave her a gold piece equal in weight to a date stone, or a date stone of gold. The Prophet said, give a walima, wedding banquet, even if with 1 sheep. Narrated Anas, when Abdurrahman bin Auf came to Medina, the Prophet established a bond of brotherhood between him and Sa'd bin Arabi al-Ansari. Sa'd was a rich man, so he said to Abdurrahman, I will give you half of my property and will help you marry. Abdurrahman said to him, may Allah bless you in your family and property. Show me the market. So Abdurrahman did not return from the market, till he gained some dried buttermilk, yogurt, and butter, through trading. He brought that to his household. We stayed for some time, or as long as Allah wished, and then Abdurrahman came, scented with yellowish perfume. The Prophet said to him, what is this? He replied, I got married to an Ansari woman. The Prophet asked, what did you pay her? He replied, a gold stone or gold equal to the weight of a date stone. The Prophet said to him, give a wedding banquet even if with 1 sheep. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Ukaz, Majana and Humajats were marketplaces in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance. When Islam came, Muslims felt that marketing there might be a sin. So, the divine inspiration came, there is no harm for you to seek the bounty of your Lord, in the seasons of Hajj. 2.198, Ibn Abbas recited the verse in this way. Narrated An-Nu'man bin Bashir, the Prophet said both legal and illegal things are obvious, and in between them are suspicious, doubtful matters. So whoever forsakes those doubtful things lest he may commit a sin, will definitely avoid what is clearly illegal, and whoever indulges in these suspicious, doubtful things bravely, is likely to commit what is clearly illegal. Sins are Allah's hema, that is private pasture, and whoever pastures his sheep near it, is likely to get in it at any moment. Narrated Abdullah bin Abu Malaika, why the same woman? His wife was the daughter of Abu Ayyub al-Tamimi. Narrated Aisha, Utbah bin Abu Waqqas took a firm promise from his brother Sa'd bin Abu Waqqas to take the son of the slave girl of Zama into his custody as he was his, that is Utbah's, son. In the year of the conquest of Mecca, Sa'd bin Abu Waqqas took him, and said that he was his brother's son, and his brother took a promise from him to that effect. Abu bin Zama got up and said, He is my brother and the son of the slave girl of my father and was born on my father's bed. Then they both went to the Prophet said, O Allah's Apostle, he is the son of my brother and he has taken a promise from me that I will take him. Abu bin Zama said, he is my brother and the son of my father's slave girl and was born on my father's bed. Allah's Apostle said, the boy is for you, O Abu bin Zama. Then the Prophet said, the son is for the bed, either man on whose bed he was born, and stones, disappointment and deprivation, for the one who has done illegal sexual intercourse. The Prophet told his wife Sauda bint Zama to screen herself from that boy as he noticed a similarity between the boy and Utbah. So, the boy did not see her till he died. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, I asked Allah's Apostle about al-Murad, that is a sharp-edged piece of wood or a piece of wood provided with a piece of iron used for hunting. He replied, if the game is hit by its sharp edge, eat it, and if it is hit by its broad side, do not eat it, for it has been beaten to death. I asked, O Allah's Apostle, I release my dog by the name of Allah and find with it at the game, another dog on which I have not mentioned the name of Allah, and I do not know which one of them caught the game. Allah's Apostle said to him, don't eat it as you have mentioned the name of Allah on your dog and not on the other dog. Narrated Anas, the Prophet passed by a fallen date and said, were it not for my doubt that this might have been given in charity, I would have eaten it. And narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, I found a date fruit fallen on my bed. Narrated Abbas bin Tamim, that his uncle said, the Prophet was asked, if a person feels something during his prayer, should one interrupt his prayer? The Prophet said, no. You should not give it up unless you hear a sound or smell something. Narrated Ibn Abi Hafsa, as Usury said, there is no need of repeating ablution unless you detect a smell or hear a sound. Narrated Aisha, some people said, O Allah's Apostle, meat is brought to us by some people and we are not sure whether the name of Allah has been mentioned on it or not, at the time of slaughtering the animals. Allah's Apostle said to them, mention the name of Allah and eat it. Narrated Jabir, while we were offering the prayer with the Prophet, a caravan carrying food came from Sham. The people looked towards the caravan, and went to it, and only 12 persons remained with the Prophet. So, the divine inspiration came, but when they see some bargain or some amusement, they disperse headlong to it. 62.11 Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, a time will come when one will not care how one gains one's money, legally or illegally. Narrated Abu Alm, I used to practice money exchange, and I asked Zayd bin Arqam about it. And he narrated what the Prophet said in the following. Abu Alm said, I asked Al-Bara bin Azib and Zayd bin Arqam about practicing money exchange. They replied, we were traders in the time of Allah's Apostle, and I asked Allah's Apostle about money exchange. He replied, if it is from hand to hand, there is no harm in it, otherwise it is not permissible. Narrated Ubay bin Ammar, Abu Musa asked Ammar to admit him but he was not admitted as Ammar was busy, so Abu Musa went back. When Ammar finished his job he said, didn't I hear the voice of Abdullah bin Qais? Let him come in. Ammar was told that he had left. So, he sent for him and on his arrival, he, Abu Musa, said, we were ordered to do so, that is to leave if not admitted after asking permission thrice. Ammar told him, bring witness in proof of your statement. Abu Musa went to the Ansar's meeting places and asked them. They said, none amongst us will give this witness except the youngest of us, Abu Said al-Qudri. Abu Musa then took Abu Said al-Qudri to Ammar, and Ammar said, surprisingly, has this order of Allah's Apostle been hidden from me? Then he added, I used to be busy trading in markets. Narrated Jabir, a caravan arrived at Medina, while we were offering the Jumu'ah prayer with the Prophet. The people left out for the caravan, with the exception of 12 persons. Then this verse was revealed, but when they see some bargain or some amusement, they disperse headlong to it and leave you standing. 62.11 Narrated Aisha, the Prophet said, if a woman gives in charity from her house meals without wasting, that is being extravagant, she will get the reward for her giving, and her husband will also get the reward for his earning, and the storekeeper will also get a similar reward. The acquisition of the reward of none of them will reduce the reward of the others. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, if a woman gives something, that is in charity, from her husband's earnings without his permission, she will get half his reward. Narrated Anas bin Malik, I heard Allah's Apostle saying, whoever desires an expansion in his sustenance and age, should keep good relations with his kith and kin. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet purchased food grains from a Jew on credit and mortgaged his iron armor to him. Narrated Qatada, Anas went to the Prophet with barley bread having some dissolved fat on it. The Prophet had mortgaged his armor to a Jew in Medina and took from him some barley for his family. Anas heard him saying, the household of Muhammad did not possess even a single sa of wheat or food grains for the evening meal, although he has 9 wives to look after. See Hadith number 685. Narrated Aisha, when Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was chosen caliph, he said, my people know that my profession was not incapable of providing substance to my family. And as I will be busy serving the Muslim nation, my family will eat from the national treasury of Muslims, and I will practice the profession of serving the Muslims. Narrated Aisha, the companions of Allah's Apostle used to practice manual labor, so their sweat used to smell, and they were advised to take a bath. Narrated Al-Miqdam, the Prophet said, nobody has ever eaten a better meal than that which one has earned by working with one's own hands. The Prophet of Allah, David, used to eat from the earnings of his manual labor. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, the Prophet David used not to eat except from the earnings of his manual labor. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, one would rather cut and carry a bundle of wood on his back than ask somebody who may or may not live him. Narrated Az-Zubair bin Al-Am, the Prophet said, one would rather take a rope and cut wood and carry it than ask others. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, Allah's Apostle said, may Allah's mercy be on him who is lenient in his buying, selling, and in demanding back his money. Narrated Hudayfa, the Prophet said, before your time the angels received the soul of a man and asked him, did you do any good deeds in your life? He replied, I used to order my employees to grant time to the rich person to pay his debts at his convenience. So Allah said to the angels, excuse him. Rabi said that, the dead man said, I used to be easy to the rich and grant time to the poor. Or, in another narration, grant time to the well-off and forgive the needy, or, accept from the well-off and forgive the needy. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, there was a merchant who used to lend the people, and whenever his debtor was in straitened circumstances, he would say to his employees, forgive him so that Allah may forgive us. So, Allah forgave him. Narrated Hakim bin Hizam, Allah's Apostle said, the seller and the buyer have the right to keep or return goods as long as they have not parted or till they part, and if both the parties spoke the truth and described the defects and qualities of the goods, then they would be blessed in their transaction, and if they told lies or hid something, then the blessings of their transaction would be lost. Narrated Abu said, we used to be given mixed dates, from the booty, and used to sell, barter, 2 sas of those dates, for 1 sa, of good dates. The Prophet said, to us, no, bartering of 2 sas for 1 sa nor 2 dirhams for 1 dirham is permissible, as that is a kind of usury. See Hadith number 405. Narrated Abu Mas'ud, an Ansari man, called Abu Shuaib, came and told his butcher slave, prepare meals sufficient for 5 persons, for I want to invite the Prophet along with 4 other persons as I saw signs of hunger on his face. Abu Shuaib invited them and another person came along with them. The Prophet said to Abu Shuaib, this man followed us, so if you allow him, he will join us, and if you want him to return, he will go back. Abu Shuaib said, no, I have allowed him, that as he, too, is welcome to the meal. Narrated Hakim bin Hizam, the Prophet said, the buyer and the seller have the option to cancel or to confirm the deal, as long as they have not parted or till they part, and if they spoke the truth and told each other the defects of the things, then blessings would be in their deal, and if they hid something and told lies, the blessing of the deal would be lost. Narrated Aisha, when the last verses of Surat al-Baqarah were revealed, the Prophet recited them in the mosque and proclaimed the trade of alcohol as illegal. Narrated Samurah bin Jundab, the Prophet said, "This night I dreamt that two men came and took me to a holy land whence we proceeded on till we reached a river of blood, where a man was standing, and on its bank was standing another man with stones in his hands. The man in the middle of the river tried to come out, but the other threw a stone in his mouth and forced him to go back to his original place. So, whenever he tried to come out, the other man would throw a stone in his mouth and force him to go back to his former place. I asked, 'Who is this?' I was told, the person in the river was a riba eater." Narrated Aunt bin Abu Juhayfa, "My father bought a slave who practiced the profession of cupping. My father broke the slave's instruments of cupping. I asked my father why he had done so. He replied, the Prophet forbade the acceptance of the price of a dog or blood, and also forbade the profession of tattooing, getting tattooed and receiving or giving riba, usury, and cursed the picture makers." Narrated Abu Hurairah, "I heard Allah's Apostle saying, the swearing, by the seller, may persuade the buyer to purchase the goods but that will be deprived of Allah's blessing." Narrated Abdullah bin Abu Awfa, "A man displayed some goods in the market and swore by Allah that he had been offered so much for that which was not offered, and he said so as to cheat a Muslim. On that occasion the following verse was revealed, Verily, those who purchase a small gain at the cost of Allah's covenant and their oaths, they shall have no portion in the hereafter. Etc. 3.77 Narrated Ali, "I got an old she-camel as my share from the booty, and the Prophet had given me another from Al-Qumas. And when I intended to marry Fatima, daughter of the Prophet, I arranged that a goldsmith from the tribe of Bani Kainuka would accompany me in order to bring ichor and then sell it to the goldsmiths and use its price for my marriage banquet." Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Apostle said, "Allah made Mecca a sanctuary and it was neither permitted for anyone before, nor will it be permitted for anyone after me, to fight in it. And fighting in it was made legal for me for a few hours of a day only. None is allowed to uproot its thorny shrubs or to cut down its trees or to chase its game or to pick up its loot fallen things, except by a person who would announce it publicly." Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib requested the Prophet, "Accept Alaika, for our goldsmiths and for the roofs of our houses." The Prophet said, "Accept Alaika." Ikrimah said, "Do you know what is meant by chasing its game? It is to drive it out of the shade and sit in its place." Khalid said, Abbas said, "Alaika, for our goldsmiths and our graves." Narrated Kabab, "I was a blacksmith in the pre-Islamic period, and Asa bin Wa'il owed me some money, so I went to him to demand it. He said to me, 'I will not pay you unless you disbelieve Muhammad.' I said, 'I will not disbelieve till Allah kills you and then you get resurrected.' He said, 'Leave me till I die and get resurrected, then I will be given wealth and children and I will pay you your debt.' On that occasion it was revealed to the Prophet, 'Have you seen him who disbelieved in our signs and says, surely I will be given wealth and children? Has he known the unseen, or has he taken a covenant from the Beneficent, Allah?' 19.77-78 Narrated Ishaq bin Abdullah bin Abu Talha, "I heard Nas bin Malik saying, a tailor invited Allah's Apostle to a meal which he had prepared. Anas bin Malik said, I accompanied Allah's Apostle to that meal. He served the Prophet with bread and soup made with gourd and dried meat. I saw the Prophet taking the pieces of gourd from the dish. Anas added, since that day I have continued to lack gourd." Narrated Abu Hazim, "I heard Sal bin Sa'd saying, a woman brought a burda, that is a square piece of cloth having edging. I asked, do you know what a burda is? They replied in the affirmative and said, it is a cloth sheet with woven margins. Sal went on, she addressed the Prophet and said, I have woven it with my hands for you to wear. The Prophet took it as he was in need of it, and came to us wearing it as a waist sheet. One of us said, O Allah's Apostle, give it to me to wear. The Prophet agreed to give it to him. The Prophet sat with the people for a while and then returned home, wrapped that waist sheet and sent it to him. The people said to that man, You haven't done well by asking him for it when you know that he never turns down anybody's request." The man replied, "By Allah, I have not asked him for it except to use it as my shroud when I die." Sal added, later that sheet, was his shroud. Narrated Abu Hazim, some men came to Sal bin Sa'd to ask him about the pulpit. He replied, Allah's apostle sent for a woman. Sal named her, "This message, order your slave carpenter to make pieces of wood, that is a pulpit, for me so that I may sit on it while addressing the people." So, she ordered him to make it, from the tamarisk of the forest. He brought it to her and she sent it to Allah's apostle. Allah's apostle ordered it to be placed in the mosque, so, it was put and he sat on it. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, an Ansari woman said to Allah's apostle, "O Allah's apostle, shall I make something for you to sit on, as I have a slave who is a carpenter?" He replied, "If you wish." So, she got a pulpit made for him. When it was Friday, narrated Aisha, Allah's apostle bought food grains from a Jew on credit and mortgaged his armor to him. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, I was with the Prophet in a Ghazwa, military expedition, and my camel was slow and exhausted. The Prophet came up to me and said, "O Jabir." I replied, "Yes." He said, "What is the matter with you?" I replied, "My camel is slow and tired, so I am left behind." So, he got down and poked the camel with his stick and then ordered me to ride. I rode the camel and it became so fast that I had to hold it from going ahead of Allah's apostle. He then asked me, "Have you got married?" I replied in the affirmative. He asked, "A virgin or a matron?" I replied, "I married a matron." The Prophet said, "Why have you not married a virgin, so that you may play with her and she may play with you?" Jabir replied, "I have sisters, young in age, so I like to marry a matron who could collect them all and comb their hair and look after them." The Prophet said, "You will reach, so when you have arrived, at home, I advise you to associate with your wife, that you may have an intelligent son." Then he asked me, "Would you like to sell your camel?" I replied in the affirmative and the Prophet purchased it for 1 ukiah of gold. Allah's apostle reached before me and I reached in the morning, and when I went to the mosque, I found him at the door of the mosque. He asked me, "Have you arrived just now?" I replied in the affirmative. He said, "Leave your camel and come into the mosque, and pray 2 rakat. I entered and offered the prayer. He told Bilal to weigh and give me 1 ukiah of gold. So Bilal weighed for me fairly and I went away. The Prophet sent for me and I thought that he would return to me my camel which I hated more than anything else. But the Prophet said to me, "Take your camel as well as its price." Narrated Ibn Abbas, Ukaz, Majana and Hulmajats were markets in the pre-Islamic period. When the people embraced Islam they considered it a sin to trade there. So, the following holy verse came: "There is no harm for you if you seek of the bounty of your Lord, Allah, in the Hajj season." 2.198, Ibn Abbas recited it like this. Narrated here, that is in Mecca, there was a man called Nu'az and he had camels suffering from the disease of excessive and unquenchable thirst. Ibn Umar went to the partner of Nu'az and bought those camels. The man returned to Nu'az and told him that he had sold those camels. Nu'az asked him, "To whom have you sold them?" He replied, "To such and such sheikh." Nu'az said, "Woe to you, by Allah, that sheikh was Ibn Umar." Nu'az then went to Ibn Umar and said to him, "My partner sold you camels suffering from the disease of excessive thirst and he had not known you." Ibn Umar told him to take them back. When Nu'az went to take them, Ibn Umar said to him, "Leave them there as I am happy with the decision of Allah's apostle that there is no oppression." Narrated Abu Qatada, we set out with Allah's apostle in the year of Hunayn. The Prophet gave me an armor. I sold that armor and bought a garden in the region of the tribe of Bani Salama and that was the first property I got after embracing Islam. Narrated Abu Musa, Allah's apostle said, "The example of a good companion, who sits with you, in comparison with a bad one, is like that of the musk seller and the blacksmith's bellows, or furnace. From the first you would either buy musk or enjoy its good smell while the bellows would either burn your clothes or your house. or you get a bad nasty smell thereof. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Abbot Bakut Allah's apostle, so he ordered that he be paid 1 sa of dates and ordered his masters to reduce his tax, as he was a slave and had to pay a tax to them. Narrated Ibn Abbas, once the Prophet got his blood out, medically, and paid that person who had done it. If it had been illegal, the Prophet would not have paid him. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, once the Prophet sent an Ammar a silken 2-piece garment, and when he saw Ammar wearing it, he said to him, I have not sent it to you to wear. It is worn by him who has no share in the hereafter, and I have sent it to you so that you could benefit by it, that is sell it. Narrated Aisha, mother of the faithful believers, I bought a cushion with pictures on it. When Allah's apostle saw it, he kept standing at the door and did not enter the house. I noticed the sign of disgust on his face, so I said, O Allah's apostle, I repent to Allah and His apostle. Please let me know what sin I have done. Allah's apostle said, what about this cushion? I replied, I bought it for you to sit and recline on. Allah's apostle said, the painters, that is owners, of these pictures will be punished on the day of resurrection. It will be said to them, put life in what you have created, that is painted. The Prophet added, the angels do not enter a house where there are pictures. Narrated Anas, the Prophet said, O Bani Najjar, suggest a price for your garden. Part of it was a ruin and it contained some date palms. Narrated Ibn Ammar, the Prophet said, the buyer and the seller have the option to cancel or confirm the bargain before they separate from each other or if the sale is optional. Nafi said, Ibn Ammar used to separate quickly from the seller if he had bought a thing which he liked. Narrated Hakim bin Hizam, the Prophet said, the buyer and the seller have the option of cancelling or confirming the deal unless they separate. Narrated Ibn Ammar, Allah's apostle said, the seller and the buyer have the option of cancelling or confirming the deal unless they separate, or one of them says to the other, choose, that is decide to cancel or confirm the bargain now. Perhaps he said, or if it is an optional sale. Ibn Ammar, Shuraih, Ash-Shabi, Taus, Atta, and Ibn Abu Malayka agree upon this judgment. Narrated Hakim bin Hizam, the Prophet said, the buyer and the seller have the option of cancelling or confirming the bargain unless they separate, and if they spoke the truth and made clear the defects of the goods, then they would be blessed in their bargain, and if they told lies and hid some facts, their bargain would be deprived of Allah's blessings. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Allah's apostle said, both the buyer and the seller have the option of cancelling or confirming a bargain unless they separate, or the sale is optional. See Hadith number 320. Narrated Ibn Ammar, Allah's apostle said, both the buyer and the seller have the option of cancelling or confirming the bargain, as long as they are still together, and unless they separate or one of them gives the other the option of keeping or rejecting. Narrated Ibn Ammar, the Prophet said, no deal is settled and finalized unless the buyer and the seller separate, except if the deal is optional, whereby the validity of the bargain depends on the stipulations agreed upon. Narrated Hakim bin Hizam, the Prophet said, both the buyer and the seller have the option of cancelling or confirming the bargain unless they separate. The sub-narrator, Hammam said, I found this in my book. Both the buyer and the seller give the option of either confirming or cancelling the bargain 3 times, and if they speak the truth and mention the defects, then their bargain will be blessed, and if they tell lies and conceal the defects, they might gain some financial gain but they will deprive their sale of Allah's blessings. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, a person came to the Prophet and told him that he was always betrayed in purchasing. The Prophet told him to say at the time of buying, no cheating. Narrated Aisha, Allah's apostle said, an army will invade the Kaaba and when the invaders reach Al-Bayda, all the ground will sink and swallow the whole army. I said, O Allah's apostle, how will they sink into the ground while amongst them will be their markets, the people who worked in business and not invaders, and the people not belonging to them? The Prophet replied, all of those people will sink but they will be resurrected and judged according to their intentions. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's apostle said, the congregational prayer of anyone amongst you is more than 25 or 27, times in reward than his prayer in the market or in his house, for if he performs ablution completely and then goes to the mosque with the sole intention of performing the prayer, and nothing urges him to proceed to the mosque except the prayer, then, on every step which he takes towards the mosque, he will be raised 1 degree or one of his sins will be forgiven. The angels will keep on asking Allah's forgiveness and blessings for every one of you so long as he keeps sitting at his praying place. The angels will say, O Allah, bless him. O Allah, be merciful to him. As long as he does not do hadath or a thing which gives trouble to the other. The Prophet further said, one is regarded in prayer so long as one is waiting for the prayer. Narrated Anas bin Malik, while the Prophet was in the market, somebody called, O Abu al-Qasim. The Prophet turned to him. The man said, I have called to this, that is another man. The Prophet said, name yourselves by my name but not by my kunya name. In Arabic world it is the custom to call the man as the father of his eldest son, for example Abu al-Qasim. See Hadith number 737, Volume 4. Narrated Anas, a man at al-Baqi called, O Abu al-Qasim. The Prophet turned to him and the man said, to the Prophet, I did not intend to call you. The Prophet said, name yourselves by my name but not by my kunya name. Narrated Abu Hurairah ad-Dawsi, once the Prophet went out during the day. Neither did he talk to me nor I to him till he reached the market of Bani Qaynuqa and then he sat in the compound of Fatima's house and asked about the small boy, his grandson Al-Husayn. But Fatima kept the boy in for a while. I thought she was either changing his clothes or giving the boy a bath. After a while the boy came out running and the Prophet embraced and kissed him and then said, O Allah! Love him, and love whoever loves him. Narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar told us that the people used to buy food from the caravans in the lifetime of the Prophet. The Prophet used to forbid them to sell it at the very place where they had purchased it, but they were to wait till they carried it to the market where foodstuff was sold. Ibn Umar said, the Prophet also forbade the reselling of foodstuff by somebody who had bought it unless he had received it with exact full measure. Narrated at Ibn Yaz'a, I met Abdullah bin Alaz and asked him, tell me about the description of Allah's apostle which is mentioned in Torah, that is Old Testament. He replied, yes. By Allah, he is described in Torah with some of the qualities attributed to him in the Quran as follows, O Prophet! We have sent you as a witness, for Allah's true religion, and a giver of glad tidings, to the faithful believers, and a warner, to the unbelievers, and guardian of the illiterates. You are my slave and my messenger, that is apostle. I have named you al-Mutawakkil, who depends upon Allah. You are neither discourteous, harsh nor a noise-maker in the markets and you do not do evil to those who do evil to you, but you deal with them with forgiveness and kindness. Allah will not let him, the Prophet, die till he makes straight the crooked people by making them say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, with which will be opened blind eyes and deaf ears and enveloped hearts. Narrated Abdullah ibn Umar, Allah's apostle said, he who buys foodstuff should not sell it till he is satisfied with the measure with which he has bought it. Narrated Jabir, Abdullah bin Amr bin Haram died and was in debt to others. I asked the Prophet to intercede with his creditors for some reduction in the debts. The Prophet requested them to reduce the debts, but they refused. The Prophet said to me, go and put your dates in heaps, according to their different kinds. The ajwa on one side, the cluster of Ibn Zayd on another side, etc. Then call me. I did that and called the Prophet. He came and sat at the head door in the middle of the heaps and ordered me measure the dates for the people, creditors. I measured for them till I paid all the debts. My dates remained as it nothing had been taken from them. In other narrations, Jabir said, the Prophet said, he, that is Abdullah, continued measuring for them till he paid all the debts. The Prophet said to Abdullah, cut clusters for him, that is one of the creditors, and measure for him fully. Narrated Al-Miqdam bin Madi Akrib, the Prophet said, measure your foodstuff and you will be blessed. Narrated Abdullah bin Zayd, the Prophet said, the Prophet Abraham made Mecca a sanctuary, and asked for Allah's blessing in it. I made Medina a sanctuary as Abraham made Mecca a sanctuary, and I asked for Allah's blessing in its measures the mud and the size Abraham did for Mecca. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's apostle said, O Allah, bestow your blessings on their measures, bless their mud and sar. The Prophet meant the people of Medina. Narrated Salim, that his father said, I saw those who used to buy foodstuff without measuring or weighing in the lifetime of the Prophet being punished if they sold it before carrying it to their own houses. Narrated Taus, Ibn Abbas said, Allah's apostle forbade the selling of foodstuff before its measuring and transferring into one's possession. I asked Ibn Abbas, how is that? Ibn Abbas replied, it will be just like selling money for money, as the foodstuff has not been handed over to the first purchaser who is the present seller. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet said, he who buys foodstuff should not sell it till he has received it. Narrated Az-Zuhri from Malik bin Oz, that the latter said, who has change? Talha said, I will have change, when our storekeeper comes from the forest. Narrated Umar bin al-Khattab, Allah's apostle said, the bartering of gold for silver is riba, usury, except if it is from hand to hand and equal in amount. And wheat grain for wheat grain is usury except if it is from hand to hand and equal in amount, and dates for dates is usury except if it is from hand to hand and equal in amount, and barley for barley is usury except if it is from hand to hand and equal in amount. See Riba Fadl in the glossary. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet forbade the selling of foodstuff before receiving it. I consider that all types of sellings should be done similarly. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet said, the buyer of foodstuff should not sell it before it has been measured for him. Ismail narrated instead, he should not sell it before receiving it. Narrated Ibn Umar, I saw the people buy foodstuff randomly, that is blindly without measuring it, in the lifetime of Allah's apostle, and they were punished by beating, if they tried to sell it before carrying it to their own houses. Narrated Aisha, rarely did the Prophet fail to visit Abu Bakr's house every day, either in the morning or in the evening. When the permission for migration to Medina was granted, all of a sudden the Prophet came to us at noon and Abu Bakr was informed, who said, certainly the Prophet has come for some urgent matter. The Prophet said to Abu Bakr, when the latter entered, let nobody stay in your home. Abu Bakr said, O Allah's apostle, there are only my two daughters, namely Aisha and Isma, present. The Prophet said, I am informed, that I have been granted the permission for migration. Abu Bakr said, I will accompany you, O Allah's apostle. The Prophet said, you will accompany me. Abu Bakr then said, O Allah's apostle, I have 2 she-camels I have prepared specially for migration, so I offer you one of them. The Prophet said, I have accepted it on the condition that I will pay its price. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, Allah's apostle said, do not urge somebody to return what he has already bought, that is an optional sale, from another seller so as to sell him your own goods. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's apostle forbade the selling of things by a town dweller on behalf of a desert dweller, and similarly Najsh was forbidden. And one should not urge somebody to return the goods to the seller so as to sell him his own goods, nor should one demand the hand of a girl who has already been engaged to someone else, and a woman should not try to cause some other woman to be divorced in order to take her place. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, a man decided that a slave of his would be manumitted after his death and later on he was in need of money, so the Prophet took the slave and said, who'll buy this slave from me? Nu'aym bin Abdullah bought him for such and such price and the Prophet gave him the slave. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's apostle forbade Najsh. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, Allah's apostle forbade the sale called Hibal al-Hibala, which was a kind of sale practiced in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance. One would pay the price of a she-camel which was not born yet would be born by the immediate offspring of an extant she-camel. Narrated Abu said, Allah's apostle forbade the selling by munaboda, that is to sell one's garment by casting it to the buyer not allowing him to examine or see it. Similarly he forbade the selling by mulamaza. Mulamaza is to buy a garment, for example, by merely touching it, not looking at it. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet forbade 2 kinds of dressing, one of them, is to sit with one's legs drawn up while wrapped in one garment. The other is to lift that garment on one's shoulders. And also forbade two kinds of sale, al-limas and an-nibad. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle forbade selling by milamaza and munabada. Narrated Abu said, the Prophet forbade two kinds of dresses and two kinds of sale, that is, milamaza and munabada. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, don't keep camels and sheep unmilked for a long time, for whoever buys such an animal has the option to milk it and then either to keep it or return it to the owner along with 1 sa of dates. Some narrated from Ibn Sirin, that the Prophet had said, 1 sa of wheat, and he has the option for 3 days. And some narrated from Ibn Sirin, a sa of dates, not mentioning the option for 3 days. But a sa of dates is mentioned in most narrations. Narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud, whoever buys a sheep which has not been milked for a long time, has the option of returning it along with 1 sa of dates, and the Prophet forbade going to meet the seller on the way, as he has no knowledge of the market price and he may sell his goods at a low price. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, do not go forward to meet the caravan, to buy from it on the way before it reaches the town. And do not urge buyers to cancel their purchases to sell them, your own goods, yourselves, and do not practice najsh. A town dweller should not sell the goods for the desert dweller. Do not leave sheep unmilked for a long time, when they are on sale, and whoever buys such an animal has the option of returning it, after milking it, along with a sa of dates or keeping it. It has been kept unmilked for a long period by the seller, to deceive others. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, whoever buys a sheep which has been kept unmilked for a long period, and milks it, can keep it if he is satisfied, and if he is not satisfied, he can return it, but he should pay 1 sa of dates for the milk. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, if a slave girl commits illegal sexual intercourse and it is proved beyond doubt, then her owner should lash her and should not blame her after the legal punishment. And then if she repeats the illegal sexual intercourse he should lash her again and should not blame her after the legal punishment, and if she commits it a 3rd time, then he should sell her even for a hair rope. Narrated Abu Hurairah and Zayd bin Khalid, Allah's Apostle was asked about the slave girl, if she was a virgin and committed illegal sexual intercourse. The Prophet said, if she committed illegal sexual intercourse, lash her, and if she did it a 2nd time, then lash her again, and if she repeated the 3rd time, then sell her even for a hair rope. Ibn Shihab said, I don't know whether to sell her after the 3rd or 4th offense. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Apostle came to me and I told him about the slave girl, Barara. Allah's Apostle said, buy and manumit her, for the wala is for the one who manumits. In the evening the Prophet got up and glorified Allah as he deserved and then said, why do some people impose conditions which are not present in Allah's book, laws? Whoever imposes such a condition as is not in Allah's laws, then that condition is invalid even if he imposes 100 conditions, for Allah's conditions are more binding and reliable. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Aisha wanted to buy Barara and he, the Prophet, went out for the prayer. When he returned, she told him that they, her masters, refused to sell her except on the condition that her wala would go to them. The Prophet replied, the wala would go to him who manumits. Hammam asked Nafi whether her, Barara's, husband was a free man or a slave. He replied that he did not know. Narrated Jarir, I have given a pledge of allegiance to Allah's Apostle for to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad is his apostle, to offer prayers perfectly, to pay zakat, to listen to and obey Allah's and his Prophet's orders, and to give good advice to every Muslim. Narrated Taus, Ibn Abbas said, Allah's Apostle said, do not go to meet the caravans on the way, for buying their goods without letting them know the market price. A town dweller should not sell the goods of a desert dweller on behalf of the latter. I asked Ibn Abbas, what does he mean by not selling the goods of a desert dweller by a town dweller? He said, he should not become his broker. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Allah's Apostle forbade the selling of the goods of a desert dweller by a town person. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, A buyer should not urge a seller to restore a purchase so as to buy it himself, and do not practice najsh, and a town dweller should not sell goods of a desert dweller. Narrated Anas bin Malik, we were forbidden that a town dweller should sell goods of a desert dweller. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet forbade the meeting of caravans on the way and the selling of goods by an inhabitant of the town on behalf of a desert dweller. Narrated Taus, I asked Ibn Abbas, what is the meaning of, no town dweller should sell, or buy, for a desert dweller? Ibn Abbas said, it means he should not become his broker. Narrated Abdullah, whoever buys an animal which has been kept unmilked for a long time, could return it, but has to pay a sa' of dates along with it. And the Prophet forbade meeting the owners of goods on the way away from the market. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Allah's Apostle said, you should not try to cancel the purchases of one another, to get a benefit thereof, and do not go ahead to meet the caravan, for buying the goods, but wait, till it reaches the market. Narrated Abdullah, we used to go ahead to meet the caravan and used to buy foodstuff from them. The Prophet forbade us to sell it till it was carried to the market. Narrated Abdullah, some people used to buy foodstuff at the head of the market and used to sell it on the spot. Allah's Apostle forbade them to sell it till they brought it to their places. Narrated Aisha said, Barira came to me and said, I have agreed with my masters to pay them 9 uqiyas of gold, in installments, 1 uqiyya per year. Please help me. I said, I am ready to pay the whole amount now provided your masters agree that your wallah will be for me. So, Barira went to her masters and told them about that offer, but they refused to accept it. She returned, and at that time, Allah's Apostle was sitting, present. Barira said, I told them of the offer but they did not accept it and insisted on having the wallah. The Prophet heard that. Aisha narrated the whole story to the Prophet. He said to her, buy her and stipulate that her wallah would be yours as the wallah is for the manumitted. Aisha did so. Then Allah's Apostle stood up in front of the people, and after glorifying Allah he said, Amabadu, that is then after. What about the people who impose conditions which are not in Allah's book, laws? Any condition that is not in Allah's book, laws, is invalid even if they were 100 conditions, for Allah's decisions are the right ones and his conditions are the strong ones, firmer, and the wallah will be for the manumitted. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Aisha, mother of the faithful believers, wanted to buy a slave girl and manumit her, but her masters said that they would sell her only on the condition that her wallah would be for them. Aisha told Allah's Apostle of that. He said, what they stipulate should not hinder you from buying her, as the wallah is for the manumitted. Narrated Ibn Ammar, the Prophet said, the selling of wheat for wheat is riba, usury, except if it is handed from hand to hand and equal in amount. Similarly the selling of barley for barley, is riba except if it is from hand to hand and equal in amount, and dates for dates is usury except if it is from hand to hand and equal in amount. See riba fadl in the glossary. Narrated Ibn Ammar, Allah's Apostle forbade muzabana, and muzabana is the selling of fresh dates for dried old dates by measure, and the selling of fresh grapes for dried grapes by measure. Narrated Ibn Ammar, the Prophet forbade muzabana, and muzabana is the selling of fresh fruit, without measuring it, for something by measure on the basis that if that thing turns to be more than the fruit, the increase would be for the seller of the fruit, and if it turns to be less, that would be of his lot. Narrated Ibn Ammar from Zayd bin Abit that the Prophet allowed the selling of the fruits on the trees after estimation, when they are ripe. Narrated Ibn Shihab, that Malik bin Oz said, I was in need of change for 100 dinars. Talha bin Ubaydullah called me and we discussed the matter, and he agreed to change my dinars. He took the gold pieces in his hands and fidgeted with them, and then said, wait till my storekeeper comes from the forest. Ammar was listening to that and said, by Allah, you should not separate from Talha till you get the money from him, for Allah's Apostle said, the selling of gold for gold is riba, usury, except if the exchange is from hand to hand and equal in amount, and similarly, the selling of wheat for wheat is riba, usury, unless it is from hand to hand and equal in amount, and the selling of barley for barley is usury unless it is from hand to hand and equal in amount, and dates for dates is usury unless it is from hand to hand and equal in amount. Narrated Abu Bakr, Allah's Apostle said, don't sell gold for gold unless equal in weight, nor silver for silver unless equal in weight, but you could sell gold for silver or silver for gold as you like. Narrated Abu said, concerning exchange, that he heard Allah's Apostle saying, do not sell gold for gold unless equal in weight, and do not sell silver unless equal in weight. Narrated Abu Said al-Khudri, Allah's Apostle said, do not sell gold for gold unless equivalent in weight, and do not sell less amount for greater amount or vice versa, and do not sell silver for silver unless equivalent in weight, and do not sell less amount for greater amount or vice versa, and do not sell gold or silver that is not present at the moment of exchange for gold or silver that is present. Narrated Abu Salih az-Zayyat, I heard Abu Said al-Khudri saying, the selling of a dinar for a dinar, and a dirham for a dirham, is permissible. I said to him, Ibn Abbas does not say the same. Abu Said replied, I asked Ibn Abbas whether he had heard it from the Prophet or seen it in the Holy Book. Ibn Abbas replied, I do not claim that, and you know Allah's Apostle better than I, but Usama informed me that the Prophet had said, there is no riba in money exchange, except when it is not done from hand to hand, that is when there is delay in payment. Narrated Abu Alm, I asked Al-Bara bin Azib and Zayd bin Arqam about money exchanges. Each of them said, this is better than I, and both of them said, Allah's Apostle forbade the selling of silver for gold on credit. Narrated Abdurrahman bin Abu Bakr, that his father said, the Prophet forbade the selling of gold for gold and silver for silver except if they are equivalent in weight, and allowed us to sell gold for silver and vice versa as we wished. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Allah's Apostle said, do not sell fruits of dates until they become free from all the dangers of being spoiled or blighted, and do not sell fresh dates for dry dates. Narrated Salim and Abdullah from Zayd bin Habit, later on Allah's Apostle permitted the selling of ripe fruits on trees for fresh dates or dried dates in Bay al-Ara, and did not allow it for any other kind of sale. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Allah's Apostle forbade musabana, and musabana means the selling of fresh dates, on the trees, for dried dates by measure, and also the selling of fresh grapes for dried grapes by measure. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Allah's Apostle forbade musabana and muhakala, and musabana means the selling of ripe dates for dates still on the trees. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet forbade musabana and muhakala. Narrated Zayd bin Abit, Allah's Apostle allowed the owner of Ara to sell the fruits on the trees by means of estimation. Narrated Jabir, the Prophet forbade the selling of fruits unless they get ripe, and none of them should be sold except for dinar or dirham, that is money, except the Ara trees, the dates of which could be sold for dates. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet allowed the sale of the dates of Ara provided they were about 5 asuk, singular, wasak, which means 60 sa'as, or less, in amount. Narrated Sal bin Abu Hatham, Allah's Apostle forbade the selling of fruits, fresh dates, for dried dates, but allowed the sale of fruits on the Ara by estimation, and their new owners might eat their dates fresh. Sufyan, in another narration, said, I told Ya'u, a sub-narrator, when I was a mere boy, Meccans say that the Prophet allowed them the sale of the fruits on Ara by estimation. Ya'u asked, how do the Meccans know about it? I replied, they narrated it, from the Prophet, through Jabir. On that, Ya'u kept quiet. Sufyan said, I meant that Jabir belonged to Medina. Sufyan was asked whether in Jabir's narration there was any prohibition of selling fruits before their benefit is evident, that is no dangers of being spoiled or blighted. He replied that there was none. Narrated Ibn Ammar from Zayd bin Abit, Allah's Apostle allowed the sale of Ara by estimating the dates on them for measured amounts of dried dates. Musa bin Uqba said, Al-Ara were distinguished date palms, one could come and buy them, that is their fruits. Narrated Sa'id, same as above, Hadith 397. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, Allah's Apostle forbade the sale of fruits till their benefit is evident. He forbade both the seller and the buyer, such sale. Narrated Anas, Allah's apostle forbade the sale of date fruits till they were ripe. Abu Abdullah, al Bukhari, said, that means till they were red, can be eaten. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, the Prophet forbade the of date fruits till they were red or yellow and fit for eating. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet forbade the sale of fruits till their benefit is evident, and the sale of date palms till the dates are almost ripe. He was asked what are almost ripe meant. He replied, got red and yellow. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's apostle forbade the sale of fruits till they are almost ripe. He was asked what is meant by are almost ripe. He replied, till they become red. Allah's apostle further said, if Allah spoiled the fruits, what right would one have to take the money of one's brother, that is other people? Narrated Ibn Shihab, if somebody bought fruits before their benefit is evident and then the fruits were spoiled with blights, the loss would be suffered by the owner, not the buyer. Narrated Salim bin Abdullah from Ibn Ammar, Allah's apostle said, do not sell or buy fruits before their benefit was evident and do not sell fresh fruits, dates, for dried dates. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet bought some foodstuff from a Jew on credit and mortgaged his armor to him. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abu Hurairah, Allah's apostle appointed somebody as a governor of Kaaba. That governor brought to him an excellent kind of dates, from Kaaba. The Prophet asked, are all the dates of Kaaba like this? He replied, by Allah, no, O Allah's apostle. But we barter 1 sa of this type of dates, for 2 sas of dates of ours and 2 sas of it for 3 of ours. Allah's apostle said, do not do so, as that is a kind of usury, but sell the mixed dates, of inferior quality, for money, and then buy good dates with that money. Narrated Abdullah bin Ammar, Allah's apostle said, if somebody sells pollinated date palms, the fruits will be for the seller unless the buyer stipulates that they will be for himself, and the seller agrees. Narrated Ibn Ammar, Allah's apostle forbade al-muzabana, that is to sell ungathered dates of one's garden for measured dried dates or fresh ungathered grapes for measured dried grapes, or standing crops for measured quantity of foodstuff. He forbade all such bargains. Narrated Ibn Ammar, the Prophet said, whoever pollinates date palms and then sells them, the fruits will belong to him unless the buyer stipulates that the fruits should belong to him, and the seller agrees. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's apostle forbade muhakala, makadara, milamaza, munabada and muzabana. See glossary and previous hadiths for the meanings of these terms. Narrated Humayd, Anas said, the Prophet forbade the selling of dates till they were almost ripe. We asked Anas, what does almost ripe mean? He replied, they get red and yellow. The Prophet added, if Allah destroyed the fruits present on the trees, what right would the seller have to take the money of his brother, somebody else? Narrated Ibn Ammar, I was with the Prophet while he was eating spadix. He said, from the trees there is a tree which resembles a faithful believer. I wanted to say that it was the date palm, but I was the youngest among them, so I kept quiet. He added, it is the date palm. Sharia told the weavers, you are permitted to follow your own conventions to solve your problems. It is legal for you to stick to your traditions in bargain. Narrated Abdul Wahhab, Ayub said, Muhammad said, there is no harm in selling for 11 what you buy for 10, and you are allowed to take a profit for expenses. The Prophet told Hind, take what is reasonable and sufficient for you and your sons. Allah says, whoever is poor, can eat, from the orphan's property, reasonably, according to his labors. Al-Husayn hired a donkey from Abdullah bin Murders and asked him about the hire. The latter replied that it was for 2 daniks, a danik equals 116th dirham. So Al-Husayn rode away. Another time, Al-Husayn came to Abdullah bin Murders and asked him to hire the donkey to him and rode away without asking him about the hire, but he sent him half a dirham. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Abd Bakr Allah's apostle, and so Allah's apostle ordered that a sa of dates be paid to him and ordered his masters, for he was a slave, to reduce his tax. Narrated Aisha, Hind, the mother of Muawiyah, said to Allah's apostle, Abu Sufyan, her husband, is a miser. Am I allowed to take from his money secretly? The Prophet said to her, You and your sons may take what is sufficient reasonably and fairly. Narrated Hisham bin Urwa from his father, who heard Aisha saying, the holy verse, Whoever amongst the guardians is rich, he should take no wages from the property of the orphans, but if he is poor, let him have for himself what is just and reasonable, according to his labors. 4.6 was revealed concerning the guardian of the orphans who looks after them and manages favorably their financial affairs. If the guardian is poor, he could have from it what is just and reasonable, according to his labors. Narrated Jabir, Allah's apostle gave preemption to the partner in every joint property, but if the boundaries of the property were demarcated or the ways and streets were fixed, then there was no preemption. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, Allah's apostle decided the validity of preemption in every joint undivided property, but if the boundaries were well marked or the ways and streets were fixed, then there was no preemption. Narrated Musaddad from Abdul Wahid, the same as above but said, in every joint undivided thing. Narrated Hisham from Mama, the same as above but said, in every property. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet said, while three persons were walking, rain began to fall and they had to enter a cave in a mountain. A big rock rolled over and blocked the mouth of the cave. They said to each other, Invoke Allah with the best deed you have performed, so Allah might remove the rock. One of them said, O Allah, my parents were old and I used to go out for grazing, my animals. On my return I would milk the animals, and take the milk in a vessel to my parents to drink. After they had drunk from it, I would give it to my children, family and wife. One day I was delayed and on my return I found my parents sleeping, and I disliked to wake them up. The children were crying at my feet, because of hunger. That state of affairs continued till it was dawn. O Allah, if you regard that I did it for your sake, then please remove this rock so that we may see the sky. So, the rock was moved a bit. The second said, O Allah, you knows that I was in love with a cousin of mine, like the deepest love a man may have for a woman, and she told me that I could not get my desire fulfilled unless I paid her 100 dinars, gold pieces. So, I struggled for it till I gathered the desired amount, and when I sat in between her legs, she told me to be afraid of Allah, and asked me not to deflower her except rightfully, by marriage. So, I got up and left her. O Allah, if you regard that I did it for your sake, kindly remove this rock. So, 2/3 of the rock was removed. Then the third man said, O Allah, no doubt you know that once I employed a worker for 1 farak, 3 sars, of millet, and when I wanted to pay him, he refused to take it, so I sowed it and from its yield I bought cows and a shepherd. After a time that man came and demanded his money. I said to him, Go to those cows and the shepherd and take them for they are for you. He asked me whether I was joking with him. I told him that I was not joking with him, and all that belonged to him. O Allah, if you regard that I did it sincerely for your sake, then please remove the rock. So, the rock was removed completely from the mouth of the cave. Narrated Abdurrahman bin Abu Bakr, we were with the Prophet when a tall pagan with long matted unkempt hair came driving his sheep. The Prophet asked him, Are those sheep for sale or for gifts? The pagan replied, They are for sale. The Prophet bought 1 sheep from him. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, The Prophet Abraham emigrated with Sarah and entered a village where there was a king or a tyrant. The king was told that Abraham had entered the village, accompanied by a woman who was one of the most charming women. So, the king sent for Abraham and asked, O Abraham, who is this lady accompanying you? Abraham replied, She is my sister, that is in religion. Then Abraham returned to her and said, Do not contradict my statement, for I have informed them that you are my sister. By Allah, there are no true believers on this land except you and one. Then Abraham sent her to the king. When the king got to her, she got up and performed ablution, prayed and said, O Allah, if I have believed in you and your apostle, and have saved my private parts from everybody except my husband, then please do not let this pagan overpower me. On that the king fell in a mood of agitation and started moving his legs. Seeing the condition of the king, Sarah said, "O Allah! If he should die, the people will say that I have killed him." The king regained his power, and proceeded towards her, but she got up again and performed ablution, prayed and said, "O Allah! If I have believed in you and your apostle and have kept my private parts safe from all except my husband, then please do not let this pagan overpower me." The king again fell in a mood of agitation and started moving his legs. On seeing that state of the king, Sarah said, "O Allah! If he should die, the people will say that I have killed him." The king got either 2 or 3 attacks, and after recovering from the last attack he said, "By Allah! You have sent a Satan to me. Take her to Abraham and give her a jar." So she came back to Abraham and said, "Allah humiliated the pagan and gave us a slave girl for service." Narrated Aisha, Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas and Abu bin Zama quarreled over a boy. Sa'd said, "O Allah's apostle! This boy is the son of my brother, Utbah bin Abi Waqqas, who took a promise from me that I would take him as he was his illegal son. Look at him and see whom he resembles." Abu bin Zama said, "O Allah's apostle! This is my brother and was born on my father's bed from his slave girl." Allah's apostle cast a look at the boy and found definite resemblance to Utbah and then said, "The boy is for you, O Abu bin Zama." The child goes to the owner of the bed and the adulterer gets nothing but the stones, despair, that is to be stoned to death. Then the Prophet said, "O Sauda bint Zama! Screen yourself from this boy." So, Sauda never saw him again. Narrated Sa'd that his father said, Abdurrahman bin Auf said to Suhaib, "Fear Allah and do not ascribe yourself to somebody other than your father." Suhaib replied, "I would not like to say it even if I were given large amounts of money, but I say I was kidnapped in my childhood." Narrated Awar bin Az-Zubair, Hakim bin Hizam said, "O Allah's apostle! I used to do good deeds in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, for example, keeping good relations with my kith and kin, manumitting slaves and giving alms. Shall I receive reward for all that?" Allah's apostle replied, "You embraced Islam with all the good deeds which you did in the past." Narrated Abdullah bin Abbas, once Allah's apostle passed by a dead sheep and said to the people, "Wouldn't you benefit by its skin?" The people replied that it was dead. The Prophet said, "But its eating only is illegal." Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's apostle said, "By him in whose hands my soul is, son of Mary, Jesus, will shortly descend amongst you people, Muslims, as a just ruler and will break the cross and kill the pig and abolish the jizya, a tax taken from the non-Muslims, who are in the protection of the Muslim government. Then there will be abundance of money and nobody will accept charitable gifts." Venerated Ibn Abbas, once Ammar was informed that a certain man sold alcohol. Ammar said, "May Allah curse him. Doesn't he know that Allah's apostle said, 'May Allah curse the Jews, for Allah had forbidden them to eat the fat of animals but they melted it and sold it.'" Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's apostle said, "May Allah curse the Jews, because Allah made fat illegal for them but they sold it and ate its price." Narrated Said bin Abu al-Husayn, "While I was with Ibn Abbas a man came and said, 'O father of Abbas, my sustenance is from my manual profession and I make these pictures.' Ibn Abbas said, 'I will tell you only what I heard from Allah's apostle. I heard him saying, whoever makes a picture will be punished by Allah till he puts life in it, and he will never be able to put life in it.'" Hearing this, that man heaved a sigh and his face turned pale. Ibn Abbas said to him, "What a pity! If you insist on making pictures I advise you to make pictures of trees and any other unanimated objects." Narrated Aisha, when the last verses of Surat al-Baqarah were revealed, the Prophet went out of his house to the mosque, and said, "The trade of alcohol has become illegal." Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, "Allah says, I will be against 3 persons on the day of resurrection, 1. One who makes a covenant in my name, but he proves treacherous. 2. One who sells a free person, as a slave, and eats the price. 3. And one who employs a laborer and gets the full work done by him but does not pay him his wages." Narrated Anas, amongst the captives was Safiyyah. First she was given to Dihya al-Kalbi and then to the Prophet. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, that while he was sitting with Allah's Apostle he said, "O Allah's Apostle, we get female captives as our share of booty, and we are interested in their prices. What is your opinion about coitus interrupt us?" The Prophet said, "Do you really do that? It is better for you not to do it. No soul that which Allah has destined to exist, but will surely come into existence." Narrated Jabir, the Prophet sold a mudabba, on behalf of his master who was still living and in need of money. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, Allah's Apostle sold a mudabba. Narrated Zayd bin Khalid and Abu Hurairah, that Allah's Apostle was asked about an unmarried slave girl who committed illegal sexual intercourse. They heard him saying, "Flog her, and if she commits illegal sexual intercourse after that, flog her again, and on the third, or the fourth, offense, sell her." Volume 3, Book 34, number 436, narrated Abu Hurairah, I heard the Prophet saying, "If a slave girl of yours commits illegal sexual intercourse and her illegal sexual intercourse is proved, she should be lashed, and after that nobody should blame her, and if she commits illegal sexual intercourse the second time, she should be lashed and nobody should blame her after that, and if she does the offense for the third time and her illegal sexual intercourse is proved, she should be sold even for a hair rope." Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet came to Kaaba and when Allah made him victorious and he conquered the town by breaking the enemy's defense, the beauty of Safiya bint Huyai bin Akhtab was mentioned to him and her husband had been killed while she was a bride. Allah's Apostle selected her for himself and he set out in her company till he reached Sadara where her menses were over and he married her. Then hayis, a kind of meal, was prepared and served on a small leather sheet, used for serving meals. Allah's Apostle then said to me, "Inform those who are around you, about the wedding banquet." So that was the marriage banquet given by Allah's Apostle for his marriage with Safiya. After that we proceeded to Medina and I saw that Allah's Apostle was covering her with a cloak while she was behind him. Then he would sit beside his camel and let Safiya put her feet on his knees to ride the camel. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, I heard Allah's Apostle, in the year of the conquest of Mecca, saying, Allah and his Apostle made illegal the trade of alcohol, dead animals, pigs and idols. The people asked, O Allah's Apostle, what about the fat of dead animals, for it was used for greasing the boats and the hides, and people use it for lights? He said, no, it is illegal. Allah's Apostle further said, May Allah curse the Jews, for Allah made the fat of animals illegal for them, yet they melted the fat and sold it and ate its price. Narrated Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari, Allah's Apostle forbade taking the price of a dog, money earned by prostitution and the earnings of a soothsayer. Narrated Ant bin Abu Juhayfa, I saw my father buying a slave whose profession was cupping, and ordered that his instruments of cupping be broken. I asked him the reason for doing so. He replied, Allah's Apostle prohibited taking money for blood, the price of a dog, and the earnings of a slave girl by prostitution. He cursed her who tattoos and her who gets tattooed, the eater of riba, usury, and the maker of pictures.